SwitchBot sent the new Hub 2, I thought I was getting a pretty basic smart home hub. That's not the case at all. In fact, here are 3 things that'll change your home instantly. Hub 2 has a matter bridge feature that allows me to combine my Aqara smart curtain, my SwitchBot smart curtain, and my SwitchBot blind tilts, and to group them all into one button and control them at once. You could do this with IKEA, Eve, Lutron Cassetta, or other smart window coverings you have. A lot of hubs and devices promise an IR blaster that allows you to control all kinds of old electronics in your home, like televisions, air conditioning units, and really anything with a remote. However, there's always been a couple of devices in my home, including this LG air conditioner, that have never been controllable this way. SwitchBot Hub can control this, and it receives reports back from the unit and displays those reports in the app. So I know the temperature setting and the status of my non-smart AC unit. This hub has 3 sensors on it, and it can interface with a brand new outdoor sensor, and that can all go on the front display if I want it. Other than smart displays from Google and Amazon, we don't have another hub like this in the market. It's an underrated feature, and it's changed how much I've looked at this hub. It's at least 4 products in one, and that's before we get to the normal features associated with a smart home hub. Plus, there's a lot of depth in those 3 things that I just told you about, so stay tuned as we change your home with the little hub that could. Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian from Automate Your Life, and my whole job here on the channel is to make sure you save time in your life with tech. If you're into that, hit the subscribe button now so I can continue to help you that way. Whenever I have a sponsored video, I'm going to tell you about that. That doesn't mean that SwitchBot gets a positive review and that you get half the story. It actually means I get extra time to work with the product, and it helps me pay our team here at Automate Your Life. So thank you to SwitchBot. The Hub 2 from SwitchBot is the 3rd hub produced by them. While you could still use this mini hub, there's a lot that's been improved. However, there's also an increase in the price tag, and while it's still a lot less when compared to other smart home hubs, we do have to look at the features included to talk about value. Now, the value of a smart home hub is that it aggregates all of your different devices together. It then allows you to create automations and provides connectivity to both those automations and the devices through an application. Today, SwitchBot has a pretty incredible lineup, and I'm close enough with this company that I know their upcoming launches will be very interesting too. So this hub is preparing the system for that, as well as introducing some pretty key new features. Now, SwitchBot's products include things like the blind tilt controllers, the curtains, the lock, the original button pressing bot. They've got plugs and light strips, humidifiers, a number of cameras, and a bunch of sensors. So you can automate almost your whole home with this system. All of SwitchBot's hubs have included an IR blaster. I'll get into the details of why the IR component on Hub 2 is very different from the other hubs, but this is a fairly unique option with only a few other hubs on the market today having this feature, and even fewer implementing it well. Now, the next thing you want to understand is what you can do from an automation standpoint. I thought it would be better to break it down by product. So here are both the triggers and the actions that you get with all of SwitchBot's products. One thing you should understand about SwitchBot's routines, or what they call scenes in their app, is that you can now have multiple conditions and multiple actions. Plus, you can put in time restrictions. So this is a very flexible and strong automation system now that rivals most hubs, and truly you can create more sophisticated automations with SwitchBot than you can with Apple, Google, or Amazon in most cases. Just not with as many products because it's limited to SwitchBot devices. Let me show you what I mean inside of SwitchBot's app. I'm heading into scenes and I'm choosing to create a new scene. Now the first thing you have to do is choose your conditions, and you'll notice that each condition or each device that you pick has specialized conditions. The other thing you should be noticing is how many conditions I can pick at the same time. And I can even pick multiple on the same device at the same time. Plus, I get an option to choose whether all the conditions are true or any of the conditions are true. And that changes how the automation starts. The other thing you can do is pick multiple actions. Each device that SwitchBot sells has its own actions you can pick, and there are lots of customization options. And lastly, you can pick a valid time and you can pick valid days. All of this is leaving you with an incredibly detailed automation that mirrors exactly what you'd like to have happen in your home. Now moving on to Amazon, as we create a new routine in their app, what you will see is a lot of different options for different types of triggers that you don't have in the SwitchBot app. But when it gets to choosing the thing that starts your automation, what you will find is that you can only pick one thing, and then you can pick a time and a set of days that this routine will run. So you don't have the deep options for picking multiple triggers and testing all of those things before an automation runs. Amazon, Google, and Apple all let you do multiple actions, just like you're seeing here, but this is still a far cry from the customization and options you're getting in the SwitchBot app when you create a scene there based on the other devices you have in your home. Having those multiple conditions for your automations is so important because it means that instead of just having a motion sensor turn on the lights, you can make sure that the lights are needed by testing both the brightness and that motion detection. And this is just one example of why the SwitchBot Hub is so powerful for automation. And that's the other part of a smart home hub. It's allowing connectivity to these other smart home platforms. And while the Hub 2 doesn't stop you from connecting to these other platforms in the traditional methods that we always have, it does add the new Matter Bridge feature that gives you more opportunity to connect things in a simpler way. And it gives you more options to connect to Apple HomeKit specifically. Now, more on that later in the video. But one thing to understand about SwitchBot's Hub and how it works versus other platforms is that it uses Bluetooth to communicate with many of its battery-powered products. This can cause minor delays in a product starting up, but it also means that when the internet is out, your phone can continue to control the devices. And for you hardcore automators, no, that doesn't mean we get local automation execution. For some reason, SwitchBot still requires the internet and Wi-Fi to be available for automations to execute. When compared to the Hub Mini, the Hub 2 adds 5 new options for scene triggers. The first 3 options are the onboard sensors. These are the temperature, humidity, and illumination sensors. The temperature and humidity sensors were smartly included in this separate component on the cable. And while that makes the cable unique for this hub, it makes them more accurate than other sensors that have been embedded inside a heat-producing electronic case. The illumination sensor is embedded in the hub itself, and you'll notice that it helps with adjusting the display's brightness. This keeps the display from becoming overbearing, but there's a great feature included when you use this sensor, in automations. Now, when you create a scene and choose the illumination sensor as one of your conditions, it shows you the current light level. This lets you build automations based on the actual conditions you want to change in your home and doesn't rely on measurements read out in lux like most light sensors. The other two options for starting automations come in the form of these two touchscreen buttons. They allow you to start a routine, and they also allow control of the screen's display. They're great if you stick the hub within arm's reach. The only limitation of those two buttons for me is that I can't use them as buttons in other systems like Amazon, Google, or Apple. I can't start automations there with these, so I hope we get that kind of an option in the future. Those buttons become very powerful when combined with what is likely the most impressive action type of feature we get with Hub 2. That is the improved IR blaster feature. Now, this feature's always been great with SwitchBot's hubs, but it's now been refined to a point where you can reliably use it in automations. First off, the IR blaster in the Hub 2 is so much better than the Hub Mini. It's going to give you way more range reliably. And I've tested it at over 20 feet with perfect results. Now, I was able to program my television and even some of my Fire TV remote in just seconds. Now, side note, the Fire TV is limited to just a few buttons because it's actually a Bluetooth remote for the most part, but that's still a great little add-on for me. But the Hub is the first one that I've had that can read back a confirmation signal from an AC unit. This is an absolute game changer, and as I told you at the start of today's video, I've always struggled to get IR blasters to work right with that AC unit itself, and I've tested a lot. But the fact that I can get back both the temperature and the on or off status of a non-smart air conditioner is pretty fantastic. It was absolutely amazing to see button presses turning into responses and being able to see that in the app. Now, I have to tell you, it wasn't 100% perfect because sometimes things got out of sync if I tried to press the button too fast. But otherwise, this was amazing and really useful just to know something is working when you're away from home. I just hope in the future that SwitchBot gives us the chance to automate based off of IR devices' success or failures, and then expands this feature to include more than AC units. And just a thought on that, if you create a widget on your phone or you use your Apple Watch to control your IR devices, it's like a dream come true when you've lost your actual remote. The display is slightly transparent and filled with LEDs to display temperature, humidity, and the touchscreen buttons, and a little dot that goes boop when you control something. The brightness is adjustable, all the way from very bright to being almost non-existent. All of the elements can be individually disabled, and you can turn off the display either with the onboard buttons or through the app. But in the future, my hope is that this can be managed as an action in SwitchBot scenes. That's because without those actions in scenes, this can't be managed on a time basis and it won't shut off everything entirely. So you can't have it sometimes be there and then not be there other times, like at night. The illumination sensor can be used to automatically manage the display's brightness though, and it does a good job of keeping it fairly muted when it needs to be. But my favorite part of the whole device is a feature that's just releasing as this video comes out. You'll be able to buy this little outdoor sensor, hang it outside, and then display that sensor's readings instead of the indoor values coming from the hub, if you want to do that. That sensor also has a couple more readings, so it's a very interesting add-on. Hub 2 is one of the few available Matter bridges, which means that it will take non-Matter compatible products like all of these and turn them into Matter compatible products through their connection to the Hub 2. If you don't know what Matter is, then follow the link right there to a video that explains it all. What this feature allows you to do today is different than it will be in the future. Right now, it grants SwitchBot's blind tilt and curtain products access to Apple HomeKit. Using this bridge feature allowed me to combine the Kara curtain driver, 2 of these SwitchBot curtains, and the blind tilt here into a single group in the Apple Home app, and then hit one button to control them all. That's a beautiful feature, but the details are important with Matter right now. So let me explain how this helps and how it doesn't. Today, Matter bridges don't work with Google Home, Amazon, or SmartThings. Apple's the only one who's implemented this feature. However, those other platforms already can use most SwitchBot products through the normal connection methods. It doesn't affect any of those existing connection methods, and it doesn't affect what products connect to the hub to. Everything still works the same way it did yesterday. It just adds that Matter option. Those Matter options are a bit limited though, because it's only the curtain and the blind tilt devices. However, it's clear that both the original bot and SwitchBot Lock will be added to the bridge, and that this company will continue to add new products as they can. Understand though that you should never buy a product for a future promise, because although SwitchBot's made good on every promise I can remember, there are sometimes technical issues that get in the way. The other limitation is in number of devices. Today you can have a total of 6 devices using the bridge, and you have to pick them in the SwitchBot app. Again, SwitchBot is trying to improve this feature, but it sounds like 8 might be the maximum for one of these hubs. The good news is there's an easy way to expand the number of products used in one of those 6 spots. What you can do is group both the curtains and the blind tilt products, and then those act as a single device when you include them in the Matter Bridge feature. So this would be a way for you to group multiple blind tilts together or multiple curtains together, but then you would have those count as a single device with the Matter Bridge. Now, lots of what I just said is the future, and because this is a smart home product, they change all the time. So depending on when you watch this video, things might have changed. So if you're considering purchasing the Hub 2 or any of SwitchBot's products, you can ask me questions in the comments below and I'll get back to you on the current state of things. Also, there are great coupon codes down below that'll get you money off your purchase, so use those. And the Hub 2 is just one of the exciting smart home products coming out this year that I revealed in the video that's up on screen. There are 20 more in that video that will improve your home and automate your life, so check that out. Otherwise, thanks for watching today, and of course, don't hate, automate.